Welcome back, where Loud have fought back and brought the series 1-2-1 in their game versus Cloud9, and it seems like they're just chilling after that one, having a nice little snack after taking their dominant win, Wyatt.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like picnic or something. What was
sharing a cookie?
They were sharing the cookie?
That's teamwork, if I've ever seen it.
Aspas didn't take it. Maybe he should have, though.
Maybe the synergy's going to be off in the next match after that. I don't know. We're going to have to dive into that. But let's dive into that second match and start off by rewinding to the first half of that one, where Loud was absolutely dominating on their attack side. And Wyatt, it felt like they were starting to kind of run out of some ideas on the Cloud9 camp.
Yeah, Cloud9 on that first half, really the only signs of life that were shown were when they all decided to rush out of B main together, try and get a little cheeky kill or something.
3 times?
Yeah, that was basically all the round wins except the one time Leaf popped off. Wow, I see, it looks really sad. Someone give that man a hug. Poor guy. And then on the second half, Cloud9 had a couple, they started off decently. I think they struggled to find openings, though, in a lot of those mid-rounds. And when it came down to the site execs, Loud were always rotated and ready to defend.
Yeah, I feel like they were never going to bring this game back from that 9-3 deficit. It was just too much to handle. And even after winning the bonus, which, by the way, kind of triggered me when we were watching it, because Les had a Bulldog instead of having a Phantom or a Vandal, because he bought a Sheriff the round prior. But neither here nor there. So Loud ended up closing out the map. I think it's because it was Ascent. This is a strong pick by Loud. There's not much variety in the comps, right? So they've seen all of these variations in their practice. Cloud9 can't cringe comp them. Yeah. That's not the case on Split, and it's also not the case on the last map, Pearl. So it's a tale of two different stories between these maps, and I think that was a really solid pick by Loud.
Yeah, it basically was played out kind of how we said before the game started. Just we took it back to basics, back to the standard stuff that you've seen a million times, and there's not really the cheeky counter strat for just the standard solid game.
Yeah, but in the second half, I think there was a few more signs of life out of this Cloud9 squad. They had that streak of 4 or 5 rounds that they managed to win out. But what broke that momentum was Loud managing to pop off in some of these late rounds, and Aspas in particular, once he got the operator in his hands, playing incredibly, Sean.
Yeah, that round right there broke the back of Cloud9, right? The Aspas 1-on-3 outside of B. It looked like Cloud9 had everything in their toolkit to bring this comeback to Loud, but the 10th round right there, to get 11 for Loud, that was so big, and it actually made it so when Cloud9 lost a round after that, they were kind of in shambles. So, yeah, how can you stop someone like Aspas when you don't really have an opera that can retaliate, right? He is the wild card in this series, and that was probably his most impactful round we've seen from him so far. But going into Pearl, we've seen him pop off time and time again on that map.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for that first map on Split, and then for a lot of Ascent, Aspas was straight asleep. And literally, if you saw him on the cam, he was straight up asleep. And then finally, when it mattered at the end of Ascent, just to put the nail in the coffin on that map, he awoke from his slumber and got the 1v3 op moment. And that, yeah, like you said, Sean, that just sealed the deal. It was a wrap from there.
Yeah, and I think besides just Aspas popping off, Les was fantastic on the site anchor. A lot of the issues that I was seeing for Cloud9 felt like it was coordination. You're scaling into sites, not finding those trades. It was a tough one for them, but there's still a third map, and this is where I think the series gets super interesting. Loud runs this double controller composition. Over for Cloud9, they were running the Phoenix. I mean, Pearl is going to very much be those cringe comps, Sean.
It will be, and yeah, it's interesting because both of the teams will struggle to find practice against the comp that they're going to be facing. In particular, Loud, which is probably why Loud didn't opt to pick Pearl in this series, because it's very hard to find practice against a Phoenix Sage comp. Cloud9 might be the only team in NA that are running this comp at a high level, so they have a huge advantage in that regard. Where they have a disadvantage, though, is they've run this same comp since lock-in. And there's only so many things you can do with a comp. It has a shelf life. So can Cloud9 innovate and catch Loud off guard here is the true question.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna see now as we're getting into the agent select. I'm going to assume that we're gonna see what we've been seeing from these two teams previously on this map. And also with what you're saying, this might be a chance for Loud to basically, give Cloud9 a taste of their own medicine and just be prepared for everything they've been doing on this final map and just win through some Counter-stratting, but yeah, again, we have the double controller on the side of Loud, the Phoenix and the Sage on the side of Cloud9. It's the same story we've seen from these teams. It could come a lot down to the prep.
It will come down to the prep, and we can see Cloud9 starting on attack. Something this Harbor comp does really well is aggress on A main, fight for the orb. Something that the Phoenix comp does well on attack, fight for A main and get the orb. I think we're gonna see a lot of battles around that area when we're fighting for the Phoenix ult. And then I also think you're gonna see a lot of A splits come into play, where the Sage Wall is used to get post plants in art. Cloud9 have shown that they love to do that. So I think that is Loud's key focus here.
Well, some excellent ideas for both of these teams, but now it's down to who prepared better, who will close out. It's map number 3, and only one of these teams can go 2-0 in Americas. Let's head down to Vancilly and Rivington for the call.
Thank you, Amy. Indeed, two teams that, you know, they have great coaches. You have MCE from one end for Cloud9, and then you also have Fraud for Loud. And they're definitely two coaches that put a lot of work into anti-stratting, especially when they're playing against teams that are going to play the same compositions.
This is exciting. And coming to Pearl, you know both teams realized the Phoenix was going to be there and the double controller comp was. So it could be done. The homework can be done very early coming up to this third map within those two games we just saw. 1-1 here as we enter into map 3 of the series, our first one of the day. We'll see what they have. It's going to be that A push towards the right side. Crystal ball there on the desk for Sean. And we're going to start this little split towards mid.
It's a flash to start things off. Counter flash and first blood from Aspas. Loud just storming in, coming in Loud for sure. Right into A main. As now you're forced a wall early. He gets instantly broken. Then through the high tide, Aspas gets a kill.
They know.
No lurk to work. And that's gonna be Loud. Coming in big in the pistol right here.
The gambles that teams have played so far on these pistols, I think we've almost had like a huge confrontation on each one. These are really great. Gotta have to go back and watch all of these pistol rounds from this series. Really, really tight stuff as the teams just push each other constantly. Call that A play, and now we get the Marshall going over from Aspas towards B. They'll play off a Viper wall, but you can see Les is going to play around the map, so they're really going to be looking to work this util off the ball here and still be able to have Viper defending B with a bit more of that util along with Killjoy. Back to the orb, back to the scene of the crime.
So that got pushed away by the curveball. So that A orb control called up by Sean Garris seems to be game plan, at least for the first few rounds for Cloud9. Les battling across, and it's still going to be Loud across the map. Nice shot by Les. And a flawless is actually huge for the economy to continue Loud for Loud into the bonus.
A comfortable cleanup for round 2. Not really have to worry about too much. The 1v1 seemed confident. Should be serenaded into our bonus round. Man, Phantoms actually... Okay, there are a few Vandals there. I couldn't tell from this far for a moment. I thought they were just going to totally play the wall game here if they tried to work Zelsis up. That's the focus. It's going to be this layered curveball up B to the column and try to push through this defense that Aspas is putting up with a Marshall. Dismiss smoke to get into position, and they're headed out.
Marshall for Aspas, tagged for a bit, forced to fall back. Talked about the wall there. There's a lot of walls here that could be used for C9 to get into this B site. Sage wall available for Rooney, who does have the spike on his back. Blaze wall out from Zelsis to scale up inside the map for C9. And it's fully clear. You hear the Marshall just ringing, but no contact as we have the first engagement into B-Link. Nobody damaged out of that one. It's actually Loud that comes out of it more wounded than C9 on a post plant.
Placing swarm grenade.
1v1 battle towards the back. KJ versus KJ. As Les is trying to move forward towards the back of the B halls. It's still Zelsis and Jake forcing the swing out. Who does get 2 for his trouble before Les answers back with 2 of his own. And Sadek's still on this battle up against Leaf, who's changed from the duelist into a Sentinel for this round. A cascade to allow for Loud to push up forward for a bit, who's now down to halfway. Sticking on to the spike, now off it. Oh, pulls out the knife. There's no more time here. Leaf will come out, and C9 will win the round.
It didn't really matter. It just looked a little chaotic because
Oh,
he
this
pulled the
is a
knife out.
much
The
better
shot wasn't there,
trajectory.
right? Even if he pre-fired. And that is the round going over to the side of Cloud9. What a really tight round at the end there. Getting into the site looked a little messy. Like, I like the way that the Loud was defending, but now this is on C9. They win the round, they use the wall to plant. You can't always do that. Now that Loud sees that wall go up, they're gonna blast through it and delay the plant. So Cloud9 is gonna have to keep coming up with different things, maybe position it differently, plant to the far side. But yeah, it's hard to run the same thing over and over when you're trying to take B on this map. The defense changes it up a lot. A orb control once again, run it back is ready. And that operator for Aspas continues to peer down B long here.
Also posted up, potentially using some of Jake's utility. And a run it back to force a rotate clear. The utility left inside the A site. Meanwhile, though, for Cloud9, falling back towards mid-control at Plaza. Trailblazers here just to try to push them back, and it should still be a split into the A site. But Les is ready for this. Behind Art, falling back. Triple player, crossfire set up inside the A site for Loud. Hot hands onto the ground, first contact, Sadak stops to run it back. And we're moving in for a plant. Les and Sadak, though, fighting back. So rotation's already coming through from Loud. Cascade onto the front of the A main. Big battle into the front as Les wins that one against Zeppa. Jig peeking out, forcing the bullets out. Aspas forced to fall away from a dash. And a kill through a blaze wall left behind by Zelsis. Now has to come up huge now that the high tide comes out on a retake attempt. Up now, greeted by Aspas. And that's a clean retake by Loud.
Yeah, well, Les is something else right now. You saw the split-second decision-making where he almost peeks the corner with a Viper bite, but then backs up 4 steps to get the frag. Oh, my word. Just the overall play communication going on through the team. And they get the 3K here by Les. Cloud9's got to feel like they are just stuffed for ways to get in at this point. Still got a lot of rounds to go. And we'll see if it works this time. Remember, that was the run it back. That was quite a bit of an investment there for C9. So Loud's feeling pretty good after that one. Ultimate for Les is up due to all these frags. 8-1 to start off the game there on the Viper. And he's had a great series all around.
2 flashes used just to gain control of the orb. Focusing onto a res for Rooney instead of picking up Seekers or still trying to build up to run it back on this eco round for C9.
Back over to B. I mean, they got all the time in the world. Why not? A nice little turret watch in mid, backing up Leaf.
High tide's just well done here for the defense just to run that clock down. Denying just any fast swings out from the doorway. No utility left by the Killjoy towards this B link as C9 decides to push through that.
I wonder if Loud's just not worried on this round of B-Link due to the ecos. We'll have to pay attention to that, but they are playing pretty safe. Making sure that, you know, Cloud9 can get the space, feel comfortable, and the retake should be what gains Loud this round. Kalanzine nicely watching the underpass. And now Tui's. You can see everybody backing up just a little bit more, and 30 seconds is there. This is going to be the hit.
Just the timing too. Getting the cascades out late. A wall to try to get into a plant on the attack. Rooney, though, lands the headshot.
Spike planted.
Gets immediately get traded off by Aspas, who continues to dance around updraft, and finally Zeppa storms him down.
Nice try,
Picking up the op on a 3 versus 1. Stopped by Kalanzine. And Loud are looking unstoppable on a defensive half.
Yeah, cheeky little plant there, but like we said, Loud was giving that space up so they could absolutely swarm the site, and that they did. Cloud9 falls quick. They're gonna go ahead and give this to a Seekers. So they're like, okay, Cloud9's being real squirrely right now, all over the map. Which way are they gonna go? They're trying to get Phoenix orbs, so the rounds are long. It'd be really good to have that Seekers up as soon as possible over and over again. So really being able to track this Cloud9 squad helps even more so. 4-1 as we move into round 6. You can see the last 2 came down to the defuse rounds. So Loud is maybe playing a little bit back on choice here. They did that round, and we'll see what happens as we move into this. Guns back for the side of Cloud9, and that operator very ready with a Blade Storm behind it. So Loud has answers for rounds to come.
Loud guessing a B hit early, so they're placing the KJ utility back towards B. Triple push out towards the A main entrance. As Aspas lands that shot, that Zelsis to fall. And it's telegraphed and just easily done here and stopped by Loud.
Little defensive wall coming in from Tui's there, you can see. All the way across mid, just trying to wall off any pushes or pressure by C9. Slow things down. Little do they know, Cloud9's ready with 4 to get into B, but the util's still there.
Tried to move up for a contact play. C9 did spot Sadak at the top of B heavens. And as they're trying to run through this toxic screen, everybody's getting decayed. Nova Pulse is coming inside the site. Overwhelming C9 on their attempt to hit towards B. Reckoning even on top. And Rooney's gonna have to dance around for a bit. Dink through a wall, and it's looking impossible now. But Rooney has done it before.
30 seconds left.
And he's done it on this very map. A jump spot here, a swing out to the right, and Kaladzine's ready.
Nicely played by Loud. It doesn't seem like they feel pressured at all at this moment. The ability to retake the maps or be prepared, even with the setup they currently have, right? Not rotating too hard, not leaning. As C9's having a hard time making these mid plays or mid lurks really pull Loud out of position. And then how do you start to defend that? The mid-round calls just have to have more information, and Loud is not giving it to Cloud9.
And you could definitely see losing Zelsis at the beginning of the round is a key piece to allow C9 to really get into the back halls.
Right.
Without that, you're trying to run across a full gap off a Sage wall, and you saw how they got picked off one by one.
Yeah, Phoenix makes it to the back hall there, and it's like his playground. You get the flash, you double layer in. That is a pretty brazen play coming out of Loud. They lose a few members here to the Sheriff, and semi-save coming in from C9.
Whoa. Instant res could come out, indeed it will. Nova Pulse in onto the staircase, Sadak forced to fall back from the bottom of Art. Zeppa still trying to chase him down. Does have the Seekers available, finally will use it. Sadak gets the wall bang. Flash, now hit. Zeppa stops him. A player advantage out for C9. Plat now coming down. Trailblazer, Zeppa doing everything, grabbing all that information, and allowed his 2v2 to happen. But then Aspas answers back with a Blade Storm. Oh my god, Updrass lands one into the face of Zelsis.
The teamwork is absurd. The timing of it as well. You got to give them all credit, but to have to shoot the Seeker, but no turnaround. Aspas is there. It's like, I got you, bro. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just cinematic from Loud to clutch that round as Aspas flies around the corner for a final kill. Les with the ultimate on that Viper's pit, and we see there is run it back, so Cloud9 could be making sure this run it back gets as close as possible before they're able to activate it. That seems like an art play, seems like something on long on that A play around the wraparound orb area.
Caralho! Que cagão, hein? Que cagão, não abriu, mano? Não, você tava tunado e ele não.
Vibes going on over in the Loud camp right now. Sadak throwing out the fist bumps as they take another round away from Cloud9. We're back to buys here. Like I said, run it back is there. With Les's ultimate as well with that Viper's Pit.
Ooh. Contact plays from two different spots, and it's C9 on the advantage as they take Art.
They have to be careful behind them. At least get that flank watch before, and if Zelsis activates this, run it back now from the corner.
Probably waiting after this poison to come down, and there you go. Could flash through this too. Wall for a boost to try to spot towards the flower pots. Cascade, but we're giving up the site for Loud.
Cheeky little peek, Loud again, even on the gun rounds. They stay mostly out of the sight here, realizing that run it back can do quite a bit of damage, and now they go to retake.
Aspas is so far for this flank, and is trying to flank with an operator. Locked down to delay the clock onto the spike, but Tuiz is still fighting. A nice first kill in a 4 versus 4. Heals then coming out, and after this, Zeppa still watching that flank for now. Rune is staying on top of the boxes, or should I say the wall as it gets broken off, and finally spots Aspas, so that cancels that out.
Jig is up.
Tap onto the spike, fighting through the high tide. but it's definitely looking at a C9 round.
Hot Hands goes out on the spike. No defuse able to come through. Ooh, just hiding. A sliver of life to have. Oh, they dropped the operator. Big money in the bank. Loud fans can rest easy. That one will be purchased again for Aspas, but nice kill there for Rooney to drop that and cause the repurchase to happen. And again, you know, you said Zelsis was such a big part of this there as well. The post-plant Hot Hands denying the plant itself and the overall round starting from a run it back. A round comes through for C9. MC still wants to go ahead and chat with the team, making sure they're staying on the right path here, because this could easily be a 6-6 with what we've been seeing, but it's taking the ultimates from C9. It's taking the run it back where Loud is forced to be out of sight first in these gun rounds. So what do they have next? We talked about the Sage Wall. It hasn't really been working since that first round.
Yeah.
They did at B, and now we're gonna see what they get back at A.
Still a very similar storyline for C9 when they faced off against EG last week on this very map. It looked like EG were going to run away with the defensive half, with even the map, until we actually saw C9 play on the defense. And what was one of those key moments, winning factors for Cloud9, is actually how aggressive they were through the smokes that were being thrown out from the harbor being used from EG. Now they have an opportunity to do that versus two controllers, but that's going to be for a later conversation once we get into that second half. What's most important here now for C9 after this timeout is to try to salvage at least 4 more into the total, as we have 4 more to go into, or 3 more to go here into this half.
Just a little safety cushion as they come into the next round. And we haven't really seen them be able to penetrate A in a way that they use the wall to wall left side and continuously take right side sight. They've actually had quite a bit of play coming from Art to try and circumvent what Les is doing. He is just a brick wall in that Art area, honestly, an installment, if you will. Showing off star plays, and he's been so big on the Viper this game. Aspas. His trigger fingers ready.
And even more ready now that he activated the dash. Beside there, Leaf just lurking around behind the controls on top B.
Placing swarm grenade.
As now in this flash, yes, they'll get a bit of information being thrown on the defense for Kawadzine, but no rotates really coming out for the defense. You still think that C9's playing a default.
A cheeky little molly there coming in from the attack side. Good job by Leaf to really push out B connector, but it's not all happening at once. Everybody takes defensive positions again for Loud. It's a trade on each side.
A rare lurk. Seeker's coming out. We don't clear towards the back of the billboard, and unfortunately, a couple of C9 players fall down. The advantage out for Loud, and it's a collat coming out from Aspas.
Solid defense by Loud this time, not giving up an inch of the site. And as we said, the wall goes down. It's instantly shot through this time, stopping the plant, stopping the momentum. They were not going to allow that to happen so easily again. Aspas with the double shot at the end as well. A really clean play around to identify this. Look at that flick, just at the last second. And they play right into the hands there. As we said, it was going to have to be something, C9 coming up with something different.
And it did.
I feel like Loud has seen these looks, and they're able to kind of switch that one up on C9.
That small difference there that came in, a little bit of conditioning from the curveball from Zelsis, yes, towards A, but he was still pulling a lurk towards mid instead. Right. Worked out for a kill, but it's really towards that B site that we were able to engage for Cloud9 to get a plant down. We're trying to look at successful plants for C9 overall from at least what I could think off top of my mind. It hasn't been that successful here for Cloud9. Half buy, low buys, 2 stingers with pistols to engage towards the A site. Stopped by a high tide, and the lurk not working out this time for Jake.
Nothing's hitting back sight for them. They feel like everybody moved towards the front side, and that was just kind of a dry peek to the back, even though with all that utility used. This is a tight spot here for Rooney. Les is always there to make sure he can lurk the play. Takes it down 8-2 here now for Loud. Commanding even the rounds that Cloud9 are getting, Loud seems to be able to sure up. Aspas with the ult. Seemed like it just took a map to calibrate, right? Maybe the sights were off. Absolutely back on there along with Les. Rooney still fragging out, but you can actually see on the scoreboard, it's just coming down to Loud being the better shot right now.
Yeah.
On these plays, holding the defense strong and locking down each one of these sites. Slow play towards A if this is just going to be for the orb. It's enough to focus for Zelsis here to get a quick curveball and pick up. And they decide to kind of go across the map here. We continuously see the wall from 2 a little bit into this round. They would come across mid. Here it is. Yep. Set up easy and just delays. Delays. Knowing that that first set of utility was used, and Cloud9 would take space somewhat with each other, waiting for it to come back up, gain more ground. This wall just kind of pauses that. So when C9 does get that signature utility back up, they're still in mid, looking to take space. It's the simple things.
Elise at 1 HP. Seeker's going back towards the B link, and that activates an early Viper's Pit for less, making it even more difficult for C9. And look at the utility from the KJ. It's actually outside of the Viper's Pit to delay and deny all of these plans. A curveball is back in the site, though, as Zelsis gets the opener. Jake then also capitalizes on another one. Lockdown then coming out on the defense. A run it back, stopped right away by Aspas. Advantage still comes out here for C9. That's a big fight now from behind. Kaojin stopped, traded, saves his teammate, and Jake gets locked in. A 2 versus 1. Sadak then stopped there by Rooney, who's come up huge into this round.
Yeah. Didn't matter for the patience of Cloud9. It seems like they like to play in that chaos right now, right? We kind of see how they play the beginning of the maps and pistols. They press W and go forward. I feel like I saw 3 or 4 people pressing W while shooting that round. As we were going back and forth through the smokes, it was just kind of like little drive-bys. Everybody trying to get what they could as they get back into a hiding position. And Cloud9 come out on top because it left Loud looking left, right. What are these angles coming from? On the ultimate that Les tried to put into the site. Didn't matter. Did not really matter. So C9 now focused to the orbs. Zelsis, rinse and repeat. A pickup there with a little help from the squad. And it looks like they're sticking with this beginning strat of a 2 towards shops, 3 towards A. Back off of this, and that's big information to get.
Change of pace for Loud 2, looking to pressure up towards Plaza. And Leaf just sprays it through the nebula. A recall there, and that's 1 player down for Loud as they fall back. You're gonna hear all of these footsteps. This is a perfect timing for C9 to get into B.
This causes High Tide to be used in a different way as well. We see C9 take the path that it's usually blocking almost right away. Oh, but they're hovered now by Loud.
And Leaf swings in for another kill. Lockdown coming through, who's been quiet throughout this whole game in this first half. Because, you know, it was just hanging out towards that B main area pretty much the whole time. But what he needs to activate does so and allows Cloud9 to overtake the site on B.
Placing sentry.
Final round here in the first half. Leaf making plays like that, honestly.
Well, High Tide for Reckoning. Just to keep Zelsis away from the back hall's control. But there's just too many numbers to play against here for Loud. There we go, even Rooney lurking from the back. Nice way to end the half, though, at least Riv with a flawless.
C9 kind of called them out there. The shots weren't being hit. It was coming down to individual play with how hard that Loud was holding the sights. And we did have, once again, Leaf step up and the rest of the team, making sure they found Les. Where was the lurk coming from? Because Les was able to do so much that game on just a few members that initially dissected the play itself. We're going to throw it down to the desk to see what they have to say before we get into the second half.
Thanks very much. Yeah, things got a little better at the end there for Cloud9, scraping together a few rounds. But across the board, Sean, that was Loud looking consistently strong, even when it felt like Cloud9 had the right ideas.
They looked prepped. They looked really prepped to deal with the Phoenix comp, particularly the control on A main. We saw it on the pistol, right off the pistol round. These teams fought for A main, but this eco, I wanted to see Cloud9 challenge the harbor wall. I thought it was important that they increase the variance. And they did such a good job. Look at this. They plow through art, they use the res, but Les, who's stunned by the dog, gets the kill on Zeppa, and then Aspas cleans up the last 2. And I feel like that round right there was the swing round of the half that Cloud9 just let slip right through their fingers.
Yeah, Loud have just been doing such a great job anchoring these sites. Less specifically, but Tweez in this situation, playing behind screens, it's just not effectively cleared by Cloud9. A lot of the stuff that they would get away with against other teams with the Sage walls, with the Phoenix, is just not working right now. I think Loud are doing a great job just circumventing those Sage walls.
Yeah, Loud's preparation really did show in this one, and this puts Cloud9 in a very, very hard position because they proved at the beginning of this game that they could have the right ideas, that they could prep, that they could fight against one of the best teams, but now they're in this position where, yeah, you've done all that, but you're still on the precipice of losing this series.
You are, but this is their stronger half. I mean, as of last week, right? This is where they got their comeback against EG, this defensive half. So can Cloud9 bolster this comeback and make things happen? It's going to be a lot harder today because the Harbor Viper double comp is going to deny a lot of info. And I think Zelsis is going to have to make some plays through the wall.
Yeah, definitely. And just the way that Loud have been stacking up that utility, all those walls, it's even been tough already for the Phoenix to get value.
Yeah, it has been a really hard one, but we'll have to see. Does Cloud9 have what it takes? Can they recover this one? It's 8-4, maybe a chance, or else it'll be Loud closing this one out as we send it back to the casters for the second half.
Thank you very much, Mimi. And yes, Sean Garris brings up a great point.
What is
challenging the high tides, challenging the harbor, something that we talked about as well on that first half in that timeout. That's going to be one of those key winning conditions for Cloud9 into the second half. But with the double controller, can they actually snake bite into like these utility to not allow Zelsis to get these curveballs out?
Well, you get in front of the walls, get in front of any of those smokes, you start rushing right away, Van Silly, as Cloud9 puts the defensive pressure on to stop Loud in their tracks for any initial rush B.
Felt like Ascent all over again. As after that, Loud cutting noise and looking to just regain control with a contact play back towards B long. Meanwhile, for C9, falling back, dwindling down the numbers here towards B main. There's only Zelsis. Jump spawning one orb now picked up. Trailblazer confirming that there's nobody towards mid. So this is going to initiate the rotate from C9.
Love this wall. Down as soon as they get to back hall. Nicely timed, calm by the team. Hot Hands comes out, denies that plant right away.
But Loud denying vision. High Tide and Cascade, a second one coming through towards the spawn. So all that retake capability from C9. Not working too well, but at least the gunshots do. Just heard that dink from C9 onto Tui's. A fight towards the back of the halls, a jump spot spawning two. And it's C9 over taking the site. Wall coming up from the defuse, and it's looking really good for C9 to win another pistol.
Vans, that has to be one of the trickiest things to hold because the wall gives space. You've used so much util, you don't have as much on pistol rounds, so bodies become the big thing, and C9 pushes through at once with the teamwork. Way too much for Loud to look at there, and they get the flawless, and look at this, piercing through the wall, same time, two different spots, while someone on the backside of hallway as well. And then you just swarm the last person. Calm, cool, collected. Rooney there on the screen, making sure these calls go well for the squad. A flawless to start off second round. Let's see how this plays out with the Marshal in the hands of Aspas. They should be taking that towards B long to see if they can get a quick, effective pick. And just that overall stutter step to give Loud, right? Just say, hey, no rush. You're not going to get out fast. Give us time to set up even more, says Cloud9.
Tori 2 wasn't deep enough. It was just trying to clear outside of the deeper smoke that was placed up here by Cloud9, so you have to jump peek for info. So nice little play here from C9. We'll have to keep an eye on into the later rounds. With this plant attempt coming in towards B main, Jake comes out. Trailblazers stopping the plant from happening. And even with that Nebula, Loud's gonna have to rethink how they want to try to hit this A site, or B site rather, of Pearl.
I kind of like how Loud's play right now. C9 isn't letting it happen, but Loud's like, how far can we get right now? What will you give us? We'll play contact all the way up here on this wall. And yeah, a quick peek out obviously denies them much from Jakey. And now this 5v4, it seems like they're just trying to spam it out, and Loud diminishing Cloud9's utility to make this a bit of an easier take in the end. Still going to be tough.
Left.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere else.
Same thing for Loud too, the tap onto the spike to try to waste more utility, but now there's even a blaze wall, even a hot hands.
Oh my gosh.
So nice job for C9 to cycle that utility, now denying The actual push from Loud into the B site. 13 seconds left on the clock. It's looking like a done deal here.
Double flawless. There it is. Starting off squeaky clean for Cloud9 here. The silver lining is showing. And we'll see if they can keep this up on the bonus round now. What are the purchases? Aspas going to go low armor here. We did have a few of the sheriffs coming through, but none have to go down to any lesser of a buy. They focus over mostly towards A. I think this is actually just going to be a hold right now for Sadak, so it's more of a default for Loud to see what Cloud9 will offer for their bonus round. Quick guiding light out towards B. So no detection there. Quick rotation from Zeppa to make sure they hold control of B-Link.
While he does that, Rooney goes in to support towards Art. The trade-off of utility, high time for a Trailblazer. Some pressure being done towards Plaza from Loud. We're getting ready for a potential curveball soon. Snapping the fingers. There it is, but it's too late. Kawazin gets the kill before he gets full blinded.
The angle of Rooney there needed to be a little bit wider to prevent that from happening. I think they both got out of the way of the flash for the play at the wrong time. Liquid's done, or Loud rather, has done so good at just kind of identifying spots that they can fight. We saw the harbor wall flash right through B-Link. Where Zeppa's standing now, didn't come out for a fight, no identification. Move to Art, same thing, identify with utility to get that opening frag. There's number 2.
Yeah. With no more utility left for Zeppa, you gotta start moving out with your bodies to try to gain that information. Unfortunately, gets punished for it. At least is playing towards the back of the site. Drops a spike, trying to get that second one, but only has a Spectre to work with. A wall then to block one side, Cascade to push towards the front. No so deniability tough by jumping up on the wall. Plant will come down with 15 seconds left on the clock.
The denial utility from both teams on their post plants or their site takes have been so good, buying so much time and putting the pressure on their opponent right now. All onto that defuse. Loud keeping Cloud9 at bay.
Oh, onto the wall. And then spawning onto the second one in between the Sage wall. Twiz gets the last kill in Loud. They don't get denied, they don't get punished into their gun round, and C9 do a bit of damage on their bonus.
They do a bit of. I like the way that Leaf played that there, a little touchy on the spike. Yep, that's me. Fake spike. But yeah, see how they just shadowed each other in that play where if Rooney was playing the angle, the flash is safe, and the curveball goes around the wall anyway. But you can't fault that. It's just a instant timing in the favor of Loud, and they play it well. Setting up fully towards B this time. So I feel like this is actually going to be a hit and wait. Well, we'll see maybe Les go back and watch shops after the team gets into position here on their long.
It's looking to be quick. Gain control here at least of an orb, allowing Sadak to pick up a lockdown and hit towards his B site.
Interesting early wall. So yeah, it's orb, it's position, and honestly, they're calling Cloud9 over. So this seems to be a full hit. Yeah, Killjoy utilities behind. The lockdown goes out. We have to see the C9 retaliation.
This might be a time. Oh, okay.
Predicted.
Spike Elise falls long range. Attempt to get picked up. But there's still both controllers alive here for Loud. So we can re-engage into the site. The spike goes down. Planet for Belong. Thanks to the cove placed down behind by Tui's. Long range battles. All 4 players are now falling back towards Belong for Loud to play the post plant. Sage wall up, trying to get the res. Nobody's really sticking onto that spike. Finally, we do so. Jake's sticking onto that one right now. It's back to halfway. More than half. They're gonna get it.
No way. Not a single person on the side of Loud was able to hit the shot that needed to be hit on the person. Oh my God. That was incredible by Cloud9 to basically act 1 as meat shield and 2 use the utility necessary. There was so much praise for Loud to start this off. The early prediction, Molly, knowing Zelsus would try to come around the corner and make a play with a flash right away, huge from Loud. And still, with the kills coming through, the defuse happens for Cloud9. Ninja One in their favor. 9-7 here as Cloud9 starts to close the gap. That bonus round still very painful for them. So you see the buy is down. Sadak starts off with a great phantom headshot.
Even more painful. Again, fighting for the A-Orb through the Nebula, kill onto Zelsis. And this is still an opportunity to switch the momentum for Loud.
Wow. Trailblazer and W's from everybody forward. They get down Jake, and now they're in B before minutes even gone, or 40's even gone in the round.
You know, we mentioned the lower buy here that we had for Cloud9.
Yeah, so Loud has to go for the throw.
Yep. The plant comes in. Alert now coming out from Aspas. Just trying to build up that Blade Storm. Sadak spots at least one.
One shot.
Placing swarm grenade.
One opportunity.
Swarm grenade out.
One enemy remaining.
Well, at least Rune is there. Can you actually land that shot that we wanted? Not gonna happen. Loud taking a lead by 3 as the economy finally comes back for C9 on the defense.
Feel something over there. Can't place it. Like us.
No operators really coming into play here. I think we see that both teams do not want to play to that flow. It's a little too slow. The retakes aren't as effective. I mean, obviously it can be great, but it slows you down. So rifles all around, Blade Storm coming up, and a lot of ults to be used this round.
Yeah, I think it's also with that double controller that you have on the attack for Loud. You're really splitting out the sights on the take.
True.
So you're blocking your own vision too if you want to bring out the operator.
Yeah.
So leveraging Aspas for the space creation, the fight back towards B main. And Zelsis finally lands that shot. Got information on more.
Get out of here. I like this. They back up and Rooney's like, heal yourself. I'm not healing you. You'll probably see that in a second.
Could do that with a run it back anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Now the run it back can be used, so you get the full HP on that on play. A big focus here. Gamble from Cloud9 is actually leaning back towards A here. Sadak drops Rooney. So that could really sort things out for the defensive side. 4v4. 1 minute left.
Fight the high tide, force out the run it back. Zels is getting all of this information while Les does not hear anybody else moving through the high tide. All of Loud rotating back through the spawn. They're going to be met up with least utility towards the B site.
I feel like it's a marathon fake when you're doing it on Pearl. You're just, and now we get to fake. This rotation took forever. Here they go, though. They are going to be running into the Killjoy utility, but they have gambled the numbers correctly. And Loud look to take this round.
But there's a late lurk coming out here from Les the whole time towards Art. The Reckoning just to clear out the site for Loud, looking for this plant.
Counting.
Unfortunately falls. As here comes the high tide, even a Cove. Not allowing any sprays to happen, and there's that lurk coming out from Les, who gets that second one onto Zeppa. And it's up to Zelsis. Healing up with a Blaze Wall. Kawazi with 5 HP. Zelsis has no utility left to work with. Triangle formation for Loud on the pulse plant.
Doing what he can now.
Got exactly.
Yeah. The Reckoning pushing Cloud9 out of sight here really gave the space Loud needed. Nothing much to be done after that. You have Les again coming around on a flank. It did so much in Art last time. I think Les is just in a mode right now where going to be flanking, going to be lurking at any time possible, and the team has to be ready for it. I don't know if in that chaos too, they were able to identify that they saw Les or didn't because of how tight these moments are. That little bit of miscommunication can mean it all, and Les's perfect flanks. So we get a timeout here called by Cloud9. At this point, I think it's just wait and see. Loud's playing it a little bit slower. On the round where Cloud9 was a low buy, we did see Loud go fast, but they're still respecting where to find, I think, like Zelsis in the initial utility of him being able to flash them out of the site, because that's really a lot of what Loud has to be worried about, is when those frags come through. You can easily identify the KJ, where that's set up, it's not moving too much, but a floating Zelsis becomes a bit of a problem, especially when it gets a lot of ultimates.
And that's why, like, even for Loud, it's 3 players on A main ready to fight against that orb.
Exactly.
So yeah, the conditioning I know we always talk about Cloud9 really good on these individual duels, the aggression that they could play, but this is still Loud that we're talking about here. They're also a team that's very comfortable to fight back, not afraid of the engagement, having 3 players there to fight towards the area, to not allow Zelsis to get the max out of the orb potential that he could pick up here towards A main.
And overall, even the one play we saw, it was Sadak kind of throwing out the early mollies from Killjoy to stop Zelsis on the retakes.
Right there.
They have watched what this Phoenix does. So they're quite aware of, again, how much he wants the orb, how much they're going to try to be making plays through art if maybe A or B isn't working. They have an idea. 11-7 here as Loud takes a pretty big lead in the third map and continue to stop Cloud9 on their 1-round wins, which makes it even harder to buy because the money keeps getting knocked down in the economy for C9.
Okay, you open things up with Rooney, Marshall in the dome of Kawadzin, and another one through the smoke. Aspas to fall, Cascade to clear out the site. Zeppa just dancing around inside, trying to do a play off the guided light that he just did for himself, but gets punished right away. Zelsis onto a big flank. I don't even think that Sadak's in a range here of this alarm bot, so a perfect opportunity for that flank to happen.
Spike planted.
A battle towards Flower Pot. Almost getting caught into Cosmic Divide, to Astroform, should I say.
One enemy remaining.
As now, unfortunately, as it worked in the beginning for Rooney with that Marshall, Loud just watched all of their angles on the post plant.
Yep.
They are now at series point.
Quick, clean take. Very textbook on that one. Making sure they had the util to make their way in, and honestly just fighting out that first A area. Once they realized there was a Marshall back of sight, you can worry a little less about Rooney. But once you close the gap, you know the fight is in the favor of the rifles. And okay, Sadak just parkouring around A to make sure they get those frags. We see Fraud very happy on the screen as their team now 1 win away from securing the series. Still towards that A push just for a bit to see if Zealous' focus is there.
This is dangerous here because the flash missed, and Rooney had to be very cautious trying to scale up towards the A orb. Gets into a nice little off angle, so that's being locked down. 3 players stacked up towards the B site. This is potentially one of the last hurrahs for C9 in the series. Loud scaling up towards Art, and early utility being used from the initiator, from Zeppa, to spot nothing here towards the Art.
Extremities held. I mean, if you're going to do one thing, start pushing out the outsides of the map. That's going to be less taking down Zelsis, though, just aware of the corners, checking everything.
Yeah. Waited for that the whole time. Yes, Rooney picks up a Nora, but that res is going to be impossible. But with that first pick, Loud leaning out towards this B site. Lots of utilities available. This is a lockdown to Viper's Pit to seal the deal. So you're going to have to hope that the whole W for C9 to attack back is going to work in their favor. Even harder now that Jake falls. Here it comes. Aspas landing that shot with the operator.
Double hit.
Pushed up is going to be Kawadzin just around the corner. There's that Viper Pit. The lean out, Jake falls. Zeppa looking to trade it out. It's up to him and Rooney on a 4 versus 2. Bladestorm also available. Held inside just by the screens outside of the Viper's Pit. Elite Zeppa gets the wallbang kill. A tap onto the spike, but footsteps are just heard left and right. Then the pit's about to fall. But then the backstab Zeppa to get 3. A 2 versus 1, not gonna happen. Aspas gets that one. Loud. Landing another L onto Cloud9 this time.
Seizing the moment. Taking every opportunity, as you said before, Vans. What a game in the end. Cloud9 showing up, but Loud in the end. As it came to, we look at those games, and it came from everybody. Aspas, the operator, came online. Tui's on a lot of the plays. Sadak on a lot of the setups. And overall, we look back at Ascent, we look back at Pearl here. Wyatt even said it on the desk. A lot of the rounds were coming when it was a star power round. It was, wow, 4K. And if you're only winning the 4Ks, it's probably going to be falling through your fingers on the other rounds that need to be won for the economy, need to be won in importance of ultimate use. And when you're really trying to flip the game on its head, it just was all from Loud today, from map 2 on. But Cloud9 is showing a lot stronger, I think, than people thought here, Van Silly.
Definitely a great lesson learned for new players like Rudy, like Jake, to face off against a team like Loud here. Jake, yes, showing lower numbers here on this third map, but that's definitely going to be the wake-up call to be, okay, I know what to look forward to. I know what competition can look like here at the VCTs in Americas. So I was a little bit shook there when we had the camera on him, but I would definitely hold my head up high here with C9 putting up a great fight on the first 2 maps.
And it's good for the fans to see Loud able to kind of bring this to a win for themselves, even if a little bit scary, and people thought it would go differently in the fashion of a 2-0. We'll have to see analyst desk predictions going up a little bit. So they gotta feel good with their artwork as Fraud and the squad take a bow with another victory here in VCT Americas. And honestly, still the team to beat. You want to beat a team, headhunt these guys, figure out what they're doing, how they're playing, because they show us a different look with the double controller. They show us a different look with the Gecko on Lotus, and they also can go back to just riding the bike with a regular basic composition.
And it hasn't always been an easy feat for Loud either, though. They had to win their first series on week 1 for 3 maps. They had to win this one in 3 maps against Cloud9.
It has been 3, hasn't it?
The competition's actually pretty good here in the VCTs Americas so far. And when we're thinking about it, there's definitely some players that, had some highlights and really stepped up to the plate here. Who are your players? I got to think about Kawadzine at least from how he's played into that second map of Ascent. I got to think about Leaf of Ascent as well has been popping off.
Yeah. Kawadzine was good. I think I might have to go with Les at some point here. The flanks coming from Les, the rounds that Les was able to hit were pretty incredible, but it's going to be up to everybody. It is about the players of the match. We see the choices on your screen. Make sure you use that QR code down to the bottom to cast your vote right now. Get it out. I left my phone in the green room.
I got mine.
I can't vote,
right here.
You have to. Please, get on there and vote. It's imperative.
Well, you had time to vote, and we have time to send it over to the desk so they can break down that series. Mimi, Sean Wyatt, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, it will be Loud taking a 2-1 victory, and I think continuing to prove that they are one of the top teams to beat within the Americas League here. But Cloud9 were not without their moments, and I think the pistol rounds in particular out of this squad across the series and in that final map were fantastic, Wyatt.
Yeah, they won, over the totality of the series, they won 5 out of the 6 pistol rounds, which is definitely going to help you win the maps. Wasn't enough help today on the last 2, even on the second half here on Pearl. They had a really nice retake into this pistol round, giving them a chance to try and come back into this game, but at that point, it was still a little bit too little too late, and Loud was able to win the bonus afterwards, bring things back, so.
Yeah, you can see that the early pieces are there for Cloud9, right? They have the retakes planned. They know how they want to use the Sage Wall in these post plants. But some of the early round things that Loud were doing, particularly with the harbor walls to deny them info, they did try to make those risks. And a lot of the times they got burned on their defensive half. Loud controlled the map so well.
Yeah, they had control throughout that map, and despite some of those moments from Cloud9, I think the second half really just showed Loud's coordination and also just their ability to win out in so many of these post-plant situations, even against the Cloud9 comp that we saw just last week, is fantastic in these pro retakes.
Yeah, the retakes this game from Loud were incredible, especially given the fact that, they had to fight against a lot of stuff that they don't normally deal with, like the Sage Wall, like the Blaze coming out of the Phoenix. So they deterred a little bit from their normal game plan, and they played a lot more aggressive in these posts. On B, they were playing up in the halls. In A, they were pushing towards dugout more often. And this is where Aspas, in my opinion, feasted in this series. This is where he played his best, these post plants throughout Pearl.
Yeah, and I think this kind of also is showing some of the stuff we've been talking about already, where Cloud9, we saw them having good ideas, but a lot of the time it was coming down to adaptation, which Loud tended to be one step ahead at. But definitely someone who helped them a lot in that was Les throughout that series. He was fantastic. But before we get too close into him, well, actually, no, let's talk about him right now. I like this guy. He's pretty good. Wyatt?
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, Les has been around on this Loud team since its formation, and at the moment, the meta is just perfect for him. He was just a ranked Demon Sentinel player, and then last year kind of found himself in a bit of an awkward situation as he wasn't this perma-chamber guy like we saw a lot of other players have to become that were in that role, since there was literally no reason to play anything but chamber as their Sentinel all of last year. But now that we're back in this world where he can mostly just stick to KJ and Viper, it is his world. I mean, he is one of the premier Sentinel players in the game, and I think he's going to be one of the top 5 players of this year.
Yeah, it's crazy the contrast when you watch someone like Aspas and Les, right? They have totally different play styles, where Les, he is like someone where if he's holding an angle and you come into his crosshair, you are so dead. And Aspas is the type of player that's willing to peek into you all the time. So having both of these players on a team is part of the reason why Loud has had so much success in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been incredible out of them. This match really showed a lot of that fantastic coordination, but we do have to find one player who's the MVP. You folks at home put in the votes, and let's see who you thought was taking this one home. Aspas, the winner from the viewers. Wyatt, how do you feel about that one?
I mean, I'm not mad at it, but I don't agree.
I feel like there's some Cowanzine sleepers in here.
I mean, Cowanzine, he really did step it up on map 2 and 3. He had a really rough opening on Split. Aspas, kind of the same story as Cowanzine, though. I feel like he came to life at the end of Ascent. It was good on Pearl, won out a lot of those late round post plants that you were talking about, but I would still, for me, it's just less. I think the consistency, the anchoring throughout, he was just nice the whole time.
It's almost like if there's ever a day to not give it to Aspas, it would have to to be right? Let's give it to Les. Just throw him a bone, right? He put up a pretty good series right here, and I think it shows the depth of Loud.
Yeah, well, to wrap this one up, I kind of wanted to bring into question here, do you guys think that Cloud9 is going to walk away from today and feel happy about this result? With how new a team, with how good Loud is this something that they're happy with, Wyatt?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it should be. If they had shown up and just lost 2-0, that would have just been the expected, Cloud9, they made these changes, things aren't working out kind of result. But the fact that they were able to come in and focus on one map and prepare adequately for it and actually win that map out, I think it says a lot about the actual structure of the team behind the scenes and how impactful that can be. And I think that's what can kind of give hope to the Cloud9 fans for the future. But going up against Loud, this was kind of just inevitable. Like, I didn't see... Seeing a world where they could actually win a BO3 against Loud, that is insanity. But the fact that they were able to win a map, keep it close, have impressive moments, that just shows that there's actually something there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This would have been the biggest upset possible in our region, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So to expect Cloud9 to walk away from here with a win is kind of crazy. I think winning their map pick and showing that they can bring a game plan, and if everyone sticks to that game plan, they can beat the best team in the world potentially. That is a huge win for a young team like Cloud9. So I think there's only positives to take away. Yeah,
this Cloud9 squad is continuing to step forward and looking stronger and stronger. But today is the day for Loud. They had a great game. And to wrap that one up, we have an interview standing by with Doug. He's sat down with Aspas on the stage for our Verizon post-match interview.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Yes, hanging out with Aspas and our translator, Mateos. Congratulations on the big win. I want to start off with the MVP vote, because, you know, you and I were joking around about it, and Wyatt was just appalled that you won the vote. Did you feel like you deserved it? Should it have gone to Les? What are your thoughts?
Sinceramente, eu acho que deveria ir pro Les mesmo. Eu acho que ele jogou melhor hoje, ele teve um ótimo desempenho nos 3 mapas. Então, acho que foi justo.
Honestly, I feel like it should have gone to Les. He played it really well on all the maps, and I honestly think that he should take that.
What a good teammate, man. What a good teammate. Let's talk about map 1. You guys get pushed around by a Cloud9 squad that's very young. There's a lot of inexperience on that roster, and it seemed like they tested the squad. What was preparation like going in this week as you were leading up to the match against Cloud9, and what do you feel like went wrong on map 1?
A gente tinha estudado um pouco eles e a gente foi surpreendido pelo estilo de jogo que eles apresentaram. A gente pensou que eles iam fazer um estilo de jogo bem mais agressivo, só que acabou eles estavam mudando muito o estilo que eles estavam jogando. Alguns rounds agressivos, alguns recuados. Então isso surpreendeu bastante a gente.
We were studying them quite a bit, and we were coming in with this mindset that they weren't going to be this aggressive, but they actually were, so that kind of surprised us quite a bit. But yeah, we just kept pushing, and we got here.
This is now the second series that you've played here in the VCT Americas League, and this is the second time you've been pushed to the third map. The world, and honestly, me included, thought that Loud was almost untouchable in some ways, just only going to be easily challenged by just a few teams, but you guys have been pushed already. Do you think that the competition across the world is just raising, or what do you attribute the two best of threes to?
Eu acho que a competição tá bem, tipo, um nível muito alto e tá sendo bem complicada as partidas, mas mesmo assim a gente tá treinando bastante e nosso objetivo vai ser ganhar, só que a competição tá um nível muito alto e a gente espera que dê tudo certo no final.
Well, the competitive level worldwide has just gone off the roof. And what we're doing right now, we're just gonna keep practicing and we're gonna keep on killing it and hopefully just keep the streak going.
Yeah, I mean, at the best of three, if you do it in 3 maps or 2 maps, it doesn't matter. As long as you're getting the win, that's what gets you there at the end of the day. Last question I have for you is around Gecko in particular. You guys showed a lot of Gecko tech and it looked really good. And you didn't show it very much. You didn't show it today. What attributed to that? Are you moving away from the Gecko, or what are your thoughts on the agent in general?
Eu acho que é um agente bem interessante. O kit de habilidades dele é muito bom. Ele consegue jogar as skills, aí ele pega de volta. Então ele basicamente tem skills ilimitadas. Eu acho que isso é muito forte. Só que acabou que para esses mapas em específicos a gente acabou não conseguindo encaixar ele.
I think that Gecko is actually a very special character. His abilities are amazing, and the fact that you can keep on using them. But you know, we used him before, and this time around, we just didn't feel the necessity to keep on.
Either way, it's working. Whatever you're doing, it's going to continue to work too. Excited to see how you guys continue to play throughout the rest of the season. I'm going to let you go. Congratulations on the big win. Guys, we have more Valorant ahead. We've got one more best of 3 on the other side, and you're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to week 2 of VCT Americas, coming to you live from the Riot Games Arena right here in Los Angeles, California. Brazil's #1 squad faces off against Cloud9, a fallen super team looking to regain their expectations with 2 brand new players. And now it's a question of how well can you play against one of the world's best?
All 4 players of Loud still stuck towards the top as Rooney fights from the back. Make that even 3 for him. And that's a lockdown and a shutdown for C9 on a post plant. And really just playing behind the box. A double swing. And Death denies everything. Leaf looking back down. Trying to salvage the thrash, but Leaf is once again there. And C9 win the first map.
Mind-blowing.
There's that Hunter's Fury.
Shoot it back.
And he fights
yes!
back. It's a Legolas battle. And now back on the tap onto the spike, the jump spot, and it's gonna be Khalid that wins it. Silva versus Silva. But that clock is ticking out onto that spike, and it's still gonna be Loud all over that scoreboard.
Loud punishes that aggression just a little bit, and we find ourselves going to a game 3.
Gets immediately get traded off by Aspas, who continues picking up the off on a 3 versus 1. Stopped by Khalid. The advantage out for Loud, and it's a collat coming out from Aspas. And then spotting onto the second one in between the Sage wall. Loud landing another L onto Cloud9 this time.